Hello and welcome. Thank you ever so much for attending this webinar. My name is Steve Mills. Welcome to Results Mastery and this talk that I'm giving, which is all about how to improve and get the best results from your sales and marketing, aka lead generation and lead conversion. I sincerely thank you for being here and I appreciate your time, and I want you to know that I am 100% committed to trying to make sure that your time with me, you look back and you think, do you know what, that was a pivotal moment in my business, a moment that changed my business forever. Now that might be a big claim to make in round about half an hour, but do you know what? Some of this knowledge that I've picked up over the last 29 years has enabled me to develop this fantastic program called Results Mastery. And it's really come from my desire to learn from the best business minds in the world. I really spent a lot of time and a lot of money learning from the best in the world and then bringing that to my small business clients. So here we go. Let me just kick off. Just bear with me a second whilst I share my screen and get everything set up. Okay, so just need to open that up and then go to view. Okay, so here we go. So today, as I've said, is all about, I suppose, ultimately your success. How can you become more successful? Which is a real challenge for so many businesses. You know, when you hear stats like 8 out of 10 businesses go bust within the first 5 years, and that's in normal times, not in the tough times that we've been going through what seems like forever with COVID, and then, you know, how the world is right now and tough times and so on and so forth. But here we go. Let's just take you through this process of getting you to really see and understand what's going to make a really big difference in your business. So number one, get serious. What do I mean by that? I mean that so many businesses aren't serious about growing their business. If you think about what does it take to grow a business, it's only two things. There's only two things that it takes to grow a business. And let me just be clear, those two things are about the two ways of growing a business. One is to reduce costs. The other is to increase sales. That's it. Now, let me just be clear. This is not just about growing a business, but more importantly, it's about growing sales and it's about growing profit. Because that's what you want in a business. That's the purpose of a business. Even if it's a charity, what do you want in your charity? You want to make more profit so you can take that profit and go and do good things. So we've got to get serious about growing it. Now, what do I mean? I mean that a lot of people, you know, I don't think I've ever gone up to anybody and they've said, you know, I don't really want to grow my business, apart from a few people perhaps who've got to an age where they think, do you know what, I'm really quite happy with what I've got, and you know, I don't want to get, you know, work any harder and so on and so forth. And I fully respect that. But the truth is, if you're really serious about growing your business, then you want to take action to do so. What action are you going to take? Well, again, you've got to focus on the things that are going to make you grow. What are they? One is reducing costs. You can do that now. You can save a little bit of money somewhere. I'm sure you can. You can save 5%, 10%, perhaps 15% of your costs right now. Do it today. You know, go ahead and do that. And then invest that amount of money or extra money in the other thing which could skyrocket your business, and that is improving your lead generation and your lead conversion. Which brings me on to the next part. Get smart. You got to get smart. People tell me things all the time like, well, I'm on LinkedIn, but I don't really understand it, Steve. You know, that's just, quite frankly, bullshit. Why don't you understand it? Why haven't you done any training? Why don't you keep up to date with it? Or, I've heard of search engine optimization, but I don't know how to do it. Why not? Why haven't you learned? And really what I'm saying here, it's not just about wishing it was easier. When I started out in marketing 29 years ago, it was fairly easy. All I used to do is write a letter, stick it in an envelope, put a stamp on it, address it up, send it out. I sent 1,000 letters out, and that got me between 10 and 20 people onto a seminar. And that's how I started my business. It was fairly simple. Now it's not. It's much more complex. It's much more sophisticated. And by the way, it's much better than it was. And it doesn't cost as much as it used to. Right now, I can, go on to LinkedIn and get a message out to thousands of people, tens of thousands of people for no cost and in just a few minutes. So we need to know more. You need to get smarter, and you need to get smarter at both reducing costs and making sure you know what the costs are, and then secondly, as I already said, increasing sales. Incredibly important. And just to give you some examples of that, really, if you can do even the simplest things like changing a headline, or improving the call to action, or rewriting some copy, often that can push the number of sales, or at least leads, firmly in the right direction. I remember one particular occasion where I changed the words on an advert for one of my clients, and they'd been advertising in a magazine for something like, I think it was 12 weeks. They got no sales, and the following week, when we changed the advert, they got 2 sales. Each sale was worth £2.5 million. Okay, so they made £5 million in sales as a result of altering a few words on a headline. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen to you. It depends on your business and what you sell and so on and so forth. But what I do know is improving headlines is a great way, if you're smart enough, if you know enough, if you know how to write good headlines, if you've ever even studied how to write good headlines, then it can make a dramatic difference to your business. So number 3, get started. Consider today to be the first day of the rest of your business life. Not something you're going to do one day. Excuse me. Not something you're going to do one day. You're going to do it now. Let's do it now. Not in, one day in the future. One day is now. Take action now. Don't delay. A lot of people think, well, I'll wait until things get better. How do you know they're going to get better? When's that going to be? Is that going to be in 6 months or 6 years? How do you know what's going to happen? That's a really important point, because nobody does. One thing I can guarantee is that the business world will go in cycles. You could argue that right now we're in winter. It's the winter season, and pretty soon it will be the spring. After that will be the summer, and then after that will be the autumn, and after that will be the winter. And that's a cycle that we've been going through probably for hundreds of years, but certainly since I've been in business, without any shadow of a doubt, that has been the case. So now is the time to get started, to really kick things off, to take things to the next level. Next one, get the tools. Again, with the technology that's around, the software that you can use, it's time to stop being, well, I'm not really very techy. You know, I don't think I am really, but I've learned. I've done, you know, the getting smart bit. You know, I know and understand what marketing tools you need for your business. And, you know, do you know what? Shall I tell you something about software? There are two things. Either people don't use it because they don't like software, they don't like technology, you know, they're not a techie person, as I hear so many people tell me, or they try it but don't really understand it and don't really use it. You take something as simple piece of software like a CRM, customer relationship management software, right? What do you think on a scale of 1 to 10, if you're using one of those systems, how well are you using it? Because if you ask me how well most people use it, it's probably like, I don't know, a 4 or a 5 out of 10. You know, they don't really understand it. They've not really ever done any training in it, and they finish up using just part of it, often a small part of it. You know, if I asked you, how good are you at using Excel spreadsheets? You know, you might say, well, you know, I'm fine, Steve. Yeah, I know how to use Excel. It's been around for 25 years. But I'd like to bet you if you spoke with someone who was, I don't know, perhaps an accountant who spend all their time, or certainly a lot of it, on Excel spreadsheets, they'd show you things and you go, oh, wow, I didn't know it did that, or I didn't know it did this. So we need to really get focused on the tools that we need. You know, things like my Results Mastery Hub is certainly something that you might want to take a look at, because it's probably the best digital marketing platform in the world. And I don't say that to brag, I just say it because it's true. But you know, whatever you use, go and find the tools that you need and really start to use them. Get better. You know, we all have coulds and shoulds, but we finish up not doing it. You know, we need to, you know, I said, right, we need to get smart, and that's now, but we need to constantly and never endingly improve everything that we know about sales and marketing, about generating and converting more leads. If I said to you, let me give you some examples of the problems that I find. If I said to you, I'm interested in buying your product, but I don't have the budget right now, what would you say to that? If you've not got a written response to that, that you know in here, you know, you just make it up as you go along, you're probably not going to convert. If I said to you, thank you ever so much, you've done a fantastic job for me, and I really appreciate the effort that you and your team have put in, what would you say to that? Would you just say thank you? Would you say thank you? And I was wondering whether you'd be kind enough to put that in writing so that I could use it as a testimonial on my website. Or would you perhaps ask for a referral? If you did ask for a referral, how would you ask for it? You get my point here. If you do not have these systems, these sales and marketing systems in place, then you don't really have the ability to really take your business to the next level. So we've got to learn this stuff, right? It's not a should, it's not a could, it's not I ought to, it's not a one day. It's an absolutely essential, and I need to do it now, right? Not in 5 years' time when the world's gone all fantastic, because, you know, we can make money. You can make money whether things are going well, whether you're in winter, summer, spring, or autumn. You know, it doesn't really matter. What matters is the action that you take. You know, again, another great example of that. People say to me things like, oh yeah, I'm on LinkedIn, Steve. Yeah. And I'll say, right, great. What do you do? Oh, we post on there twice a week. I don't want to bombard people. How many times have I heard that? I don't want to bombard people. That's like saying, I go down to the gym once a month because I don't want to get that fit. You know, it's like, save your money, don't bother, stay at home and eat burgers, really. You know, if you go down to the gym once a month, it ain't gonna really work for you. So you've got to, you know, you've got to raise your game, I think is what I'm saying. You know, you've got to raise your game and do better and do more than you've done before. So if I asked you right now just to think about, what is your strategy for winning business on LinkedIn? For most people, it's posting. Let me just tell you mine. What do? We're constantly working on improving our LinkedIn profiles. When I say profiles, I'm talking about my personal and my company one. We're constantly and never-endingly connecting to new people. We're growing our database, the world of people that know us on an ongoing basis. When somebody connects to us on LinkedIn, we start a one-to-one communication. Now, that could be email, it could be texting, it could be messaging through LinkedIn, it could be phoning up and speaking to those people. Yes, one of the things that will win you more business is the fact that the more people you speak to, the more money that will end up in your bank. So we've got to speak to people. Yes, we post on LinkedIn, but we don't do it once or twice a week. We do it 4, 5, 6 times a day, right? Because most of the people, most of the time, don't see my LinkedIn contacts. You know, I've got 12,000 LinkedIn contacts. If I do a post, typically it gets seen by a few hundred people. What about the other 11,800 people? They're not seeing my posts because they're not on LinkedIn right now. And so I need to be posting on a regular basis. I'll post on groups. I'll comment on other people's posts. I upload events. I run LinkedIn Lives, live events on LinkedIn. I've got my own group. I'm in about, I think about somewhere around about 60 other groups on LinkedIn, and I make six figures, just over, normally somewhere between 100 and 130,000 pounds per year on LinkedIn. And I'm just a little business. I'm not a massive business. If I ran a big multi-million pound business, then I'd be making probably several million pounds a year on LinkedIn without, you know, if I got a team of people working on this, you know, I'm sure the profit would massively grow. And you know, so again, I want to be clear, I'm not boasting here. I'm not trying to impress you at all. I'm trying to impress upon you, if you take action, you get results. Let me give you another example. Email marketing. What's most people's strategy? Is to send out once a quarter a newsletter. Give me a break. That ain't going to get you anywhere. You know, if I send out a newsletter and then send one out 3 months later, you're probably thinking, who's this guy? Why is he sending me emails? I never subscribed for this, because you didn't even remember. It's 3 months ago, right? So we've got to do more. You know, we've got to get better. And, you know, that's just so incredibly important. Number 6 here is to get better at financial acumen. In other words, to become better at the financial side of your business. Let me just explain what I mean. There's a famous quote by a guy called Peter Gerber. Gerber is the author of The E-Myth, a book that I'd strongly recommend that you take a look at. In the book, he talks about the fact that there are 3 departments in every business. There's finance, there's operations, there's marketing. So that's managing the money, doing the work, selling the stuff. They're the 3 departments. And Gerber says, and I believe it's true, that the biggest problem and the reason why 80% of businesses fail, and often those who don't fail, they're probably like, I don't know, 15% are just about surviving, probably 4% are doing quite well, thank you very much, and 1% are, you know, really knocking it out the ballpark, you know. So, you know, most businesses are struggling to survive or actually not surviving. You know, so this is really, really important. Why is that? It's because most businesses have operational expertise. So typically, a business owner is an expert at whatever they do operationally. So I run a garage because I'm an expert at repairing cars. I've been doing it for somebody else for 20 years. I'm a landscape gardener. Why? Because I love flowers and my garden, and it's my hobby, and I turned it into that. I'm a tennis coach, or perhaps I'm a life coach. Whatever it is, I'm good at doing that. I'm not good at managing the money. Did you know that most business owners, according to my accountancy friends, spend less than 2 minutes reading their end of year report, you know, that goes through to HMRC, and then just sign it off and off it goes. And in fact, even if they did read it, it's often 18 months out of date. And so of very little value to them anyway. It's just, you know, going to HMRC, and they have no real understanding of exactly where their business is because they don't pay their accountant for management accounts on a monthly basis. So, you know, one way or another, you've got to be good at managing your financial acumen, understanding, you know, daily what's your financial position. It starts with daily. If your business is struggling right now, then every day you should be fully aware of who's paid, who's not paid. What's the profit in that? How much, which products are selling most, so you can focus on those, and so on and so forth. Okay. And lastly, but by no means least, you know, you have got to, well, you haven't got to, you can do whatever you want. I'm not here to tell you, I suppose, what you've got to do. It's just my passion is you have got to, I'm going to say it again, get better at creating and converting leads, aka you've got to be better at selling and marketing. I've given you some ideas, some ways in which you can. I can't give you everything. You know, this is a half-hour seminar. I'm not quite sure where we are time-wise, but I've not been checking my watch, but I reckon I'm towards the end of that. But what I want you to do, well, I want you to do potentially one of two things. I'd love you to book a meeting with me. I'd love to talk to you about your business, not to sell you stuff. That's not my purpose. My purpose is to demonstrate my expertise, to let you fully know and realize the power of the knowledge that I've got, that I've accumulated for the last 29 years. If you then decide you want to work with me, great, I'm definitely open for that. And if you don't, that's also fine. And at least you'll have had lots of benefits. So what I want you to do is to go to my website. You've got actually a choice of two websites. One is, let me just stop sharing for a second. So, okay, so you can see it there on my, which is it? Oh, no, I'm wrong way around there, right? So you've got steve-mills.com, or you've got results-mastery.com. You can email me at steve@steve-mills.com, or call me on one of those telephone numbers. And what we'll do is, if you go to the websites, you'll see there's a gold button. Just click on that. That'll give you access to my online diary, and you can just book a meeting. If you want to give me a call on my mobile or the other phone, feel free to do so and ask me any questions. And what we'll cover, again, it's really awkward when you're facing the wrong way. So what we'll cover is that over there. In other words, where are you now? How did you get there? Where do you want to go? Why do you want that? I'd love to know your motivation. How are you going to get there, and what are the obstacles? That's what we're going to cover. We're not going to cover, you know, or anything else. We're just going to work on that. And then at the end of it, you'll definitely have some ideas and ways in which you can grow your business. So if you want to do that, get in touch. Other than that, thank you ever so much for attending. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I look forward to hopefully meeting you soon. Thanks very much for listening.